It all started with a Facebook message. Hey Julia, do you want to come on my birthday backpacking trip? It was from this guy, Eugene, and the thing to know about Eugene is we'd only met twice, and he lived in Colorado. But over the course of the pandemic, we'd been exchanging Facebook messages every so often. He'd send me pictures of these beautiful hikes he was taking out in Colorado, and we'd talk about books we were reading. Real exciting stuff, right? But this was the middle of COVID. I wasn't leaving my apartment much, I was feeling lonely, and this man was giving me a lot of attention. So I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I get this message, and of course I'm thrilled. You know, not only does this give me the opportunity to level up my camping and try backpacking, but I can also see where this goes with this guy. So I say, absolutely, sign me up, I'll be there. Now, the thing about me is I'm not Colorado outdoorsy. I'm more DC outdoorsy, like hammocking or walking around Rock Creek Park. So I had a lot of learning to do. And being the type A person that I am, I took this learning really seriously. So I bought a book on backpacking. I attended an REI webinar, which it's a lot of product placement, not worth your time. And I spent a lot of time thinking about the important questions, like what was the best snack to bring, or how was I going to go to the bathroom in the wilderness for 3 days? So by the end of my month of preparation, I was feeling ready to go. I was excited to see Eugene in real life. So I fly out to Colorado, and I'm having dinner with Eugene the night before we're supposed to go on this trip. And I say, so Eugene, tell me about who all's coming on this trip. How do y'all know each other? And he says, this guy's my coworker, another girl I went to college with, and the last girl, she's my ex-girlfriend from last summer. Actually, they're both my ex-girlfriends. Didn't think about that. What? Here I am thinking that this was going to be some sort of romantic excursion for me, and 2 of the 5 people on this hiking trip are this man's exes. Did I read this scenario really wrong? But, I'd already flown all the way out here, and I was thinking, what's the worst that could happen? It might just be a little awkward for a few days. I can handle that in the pursuit of this hike. So I decided to continue going on the trip. We get started, and it's everything that I had envisioned. There's blue skies, we're crisscrossing all these streams, and I see these beautiful mountain vistas. It's perfect. And we start this incline, and about 2 miles in, ex-girlfriend number 1 says, I've got to stop. Well, me too. This altitude is killing me. 30 pounds on your back is a lot. I need a break as well. No, she goes on, I have to turn around. I can't do this trip. I'm sorry, did you not plan? Did you not read a book before going on this trip? A rookie mistake. And the worst part is she doesn't turn back. Eugene goes to take her as well. So we're delayed by a couple of hours, and I'm losing out on FaceTime with Eugene. So he gets back, and I'm like, okay, now we're getting into it. We're doing this thing. We're hiking. And those blue skies that had been there earlier started to turn to gray, and the sky's getting darker and darker, and it starts to rain. Now, I knew I was signing up for an outdoors adventure. I was ready for some rain, no problem. But the rain turns to hail, and then it starts to snow. I was not ready for snow. So at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. I could handle this if it lasts for an hour, but I didn't pack a ton of warm clothes with me. It was May. It was supposed to be great weather. So we continue walking, and an hour passes, and now there's an inch or 2 of snow on the ground. I'm looking at Eugene, and he's looking pretty nervous, searching around. We're on this hill, so there's nowhere to pull off, and I'm starting to freak out, like, oh my gosh, this is what they do on those survival TV shows. Like, this is the worst nightmare. And we start kind of like trying to walk faster and make sure that we can find somewhere to camp for the night, because it's getting dark too. So we finally find a place to camp, and by this point we're soaking wet from the snow and freezing cold. And we decide that we're kind of worried about hypothermia, so the best way for us to warm up is for all 4 of us and the dog to get into this 3-person tent for warmth. Now, if you've never been camping before, when I say a 3-person tent, what I really mean is like a 1.5-person tent. And so we're all climbed in there. I've got the coworkers' feet in my face. I have Eugene and his ex-girlfriend who are kind of like snuggling on this other side. And then I'm stuck in the middle, left to cuddle with the dog. And that might be appealing for some people, but I'm allergic to dogs, and I don't really like them, so this is like the saddest situation for me. And it gets dead silent. All we can hear is the snow on the roof of this tent. And I'm sitting there shivering, thinking, oh my God, is this where I'm going to die? All because I wanted to see if I had some romantic connection with this guy who I talked to on Facebook a couple of times. And I'm sitting there and like, oh my gosh, how could I have been so dumb to sign up for this? I was feeling great about my survival efforts, but the rest of this group I was questioning if they knew what they were doing. Luckily though, our plan to warm up worked, and we all fell asleep and made it through the night. And we make it through the rest of the trip with only a few other minor hiccups, like a failed river crossing and a Zoom funeral that we had to listen to because we got so delayed on the way back. And as I finished this hike, I thought, you know, I am so proud of myself. I crushed this. I survived. I made it through this hike, despite this being way harder than I would have ever imagined it to be. But what didn't survive the hike was any feelings that I'd had for Eugene.